Gundam.tk presents Full Armor Unicorn Gundam. Hey again everybody, it's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs from YouTube and Gundam.tk, and you've already seen all the empty plates, the weapons, and the individual parts, but now it's time to make this into the Unicorn Gundam in its Unicorn mode. And in its Unicorn mode, I know that this mode has some of its defenders. For me though, I've got to say that this is one of the duller Gundams of all time. Outside of the white and gray, you're only going to have that blue in the feet and on the backpack, which you're not going to normally see, and you shouldn't see any yellow up in the Unicorn horn. And I still remember when this was first announced that it was going to be serialized, and I saw the designs for the Unicorn Gundam, and this is back a long time ago. I said that's got to be the ugliest design. This is before the Destroy mode was revealed, and once that was revealed, all of a sudden that became a Gundam that I was very interested in. But I thought, Katoki Hajime, what are you doing with this? However, it does have some pleasing features. The lining is great on here, not the lines from me, but the lines that they actually put on there. If you put on the decals and actually line this up with some nice gray, I think you could make it look like a very realistic war machine if you just forget about the whole mythical unicorn aspect. And if you look really carefully at the legs here, you can see that there's holes here, but that's because those were built into the gray part, which is in the under armor there. And that's just to allow you to put the missile pods or the hand grenades onto the side of the arms, and is unique to the full armor version. In terms of mobility, the first thing is this guy feels pretty solid if you've got everything locked into place, including the hips down there. If you move the front skirts up, you can bring the legs up for a almost char kick. Off to the side, if you move that side skirt up, you can get pretty much full splits actually. You could do full splits. And yes, there's that wonderful 90-degree bend, which is looking fantastic. One thing I do have to complain about though is those ankles. It's a fantastic bit of engineering that puts them all together, but they just feel incredibly loose. As you can see there, parts are going to go sprawling anytime you try to do anything. And they do seem a little bit like they want to collapse backwards pretty easily, so I hope that's a problem. That is just with my build, and hopefully not too many other people are experiencing the same thing. There are no changes to the waist like the version, or similar to the version Katoki, so it's not like the OVA with a few changes in there. But if you're looking at the shoulders, you can bring this one forward as I mentioned, and you probably don't want to go much more than that because the shoulder is going to get in the way. This one I haven't popped out and heard that ugly sound yet, so it doesn't want to come out as easily. You can rotate it all the way around here, bend it across, rotate it there. You can bring it across and actually have it touch its shoulder if you just want to cheat up above the chest. No problem, and the head is on a very cool mechanism here, so it's going to be able to move and still look good with a big wide neck. Nothing like a little skinny polycap just to be seen there. It's worth noting that a couple times this thing has popped open on me, and because of that the legs will get really flimsy, so if you have shakeable legs, probably just squeeze everything back in and then lock it back into place. Here you have two of the newest Gundams. You've got the 00 Gundam, star of 50 plus episodes, in a mobile suit variation, the 7 Sword that you've never actually seen animated, nor have I. And over here you have the Unicorn Gundam, which, because of the popularity of the novel, and despite the fact that it looks arguably that ugly, it's still going to be towering over the 00 anyway, in terms of size, especially when you add in the Unicorn horn. When you're reading the manual, please be careful of the X's that they're going to show you with the parts that are unneeded, because you can get an extra ammo clip out of that. But more importantly, I just went to attach the shield, and you can't do that because they're not going to tell you how to do this in Unicorn mode in this manual. So on the eye plate you have 3 leftover plates that if you cut them off, they're going to allow you to attach this green shield on. So I've hastily assembled this ugly looking thing, which is just going to plug into the back of the forearm, and this part is going to attach on to the shield that comes with this. Remember, they do give you 2 extras, so you can make all 3 shields have this if you choose. The shield and beam rifle help this thing look much better than it does in just plain Unicorn mode. The only problem being that, similar to any other version, is that you'd see the color of the psycho frame on the inside of the shield. Not always a bad thing, it just sort of gives a hint as to what lies within, and in this one you're going to have green instead of red. If you have an old manual to consult with, it's handy because then you can see things like that you can attach the beam magnum onto the back of the forearm if you want to use this part here. And with some fiddling of the shield, you can bend this attachment arm into place and then strap it on to this little tiny hole there in the backpack. You can also do that with the beam rifle if you bend down this gray part, and with the hyper bazookas, although you would have to pull off all these extra full armor bonuses. But I suppose you can keep them on as long as he doesn't shoot himself in the back. The only thing that you can really do with this guy that you can't do with a regular version Katoki is put on two of the beam rifles there on the forearms. Of course, you only get one with a regular one. Somewhat disappointing that you're not going to get multiple of these eye connectors there, because if you did, then you could put two shields on either side. But clearly this guy's designed to be full armor mode, not just a power-up version of the unicorn mode. One thing though that I've always liked about this guy in unicorn mode is that when you do give him all his weapons, I'm talking beam magnum, the shield, and the bazooka, that this guy, you sort of forget that he's very, very plain, and instead it's just that military aspect just seems to spring to life. So even though he's got a million more weapons at his disposal as the full armor one, this is something, especially if you've got an old red one to kick around, that you may want to display this mode right beside the new opened up destroy or full armor. But the real feature of this unicorn Gundam in his unicorn mode for this full armor one is the fact that it comes with the base jabber, which seems to be exclusively for the unicorn mode. I've never seen him riding it in destroy mode, so let's see how these two work together. The first pleasant surprise is just how easily these legs are going to fit in here, and that's I didn't really move them around in any way, shape, or form. You just put them in and the toes are going to drop into the back quite nicely, and you can see that even though they're not straight, they're going to stay in place. And for the knees, again, something that I thought might be difficult, they do give you 3 positions that you can attach this knee attachment onto, but all you really have to do is just get the knee inside and then close up this gray part to keep it gripped in place, and he seems like he's going to be in there pretty securely. The upper body, if you just keep it at its natural angle, is going to work pretty all right there. You can bring the arms forward, just put them palms down, and it can grab onto those handlebars, and then, even though he seems to be at an awkward angle, well, actually, can you pass it off as being cool in any way? Even though the angle he's perched at doesn't necessarily seem to be the most comfortable, the legs locking into place while there, all of the weight is of course going to go to the front of this, but it's got these extra landing gears, so if it wasn't on a rotating platform, that would work just fine, and it's actually having no problems balancing just down that middle strut there, where it's got 2 pieces of ski-type landing gear. But what do you think of this? It's sort of in the eye of the beholder. It's a cool gimmick that they give it to you. The boosters were already there. Why not throw in enough plastic just to make that middle part? And all of a sudden the unicorn mode, which can easily get forgotten with this full armor one, at least has a purpose, or something that you can put your old red Psycho Frame one on. Well, this guy's all going ready to war with all those weapons. Anyway, everybody, I'm going to stop my look at the unicorn mode right there. Remember that he's going to open up and expose a whole bunch of green inner frame before getting all of those weapons attached on. But I have to say that this guy, he's more fun than I remember. The real only bonus that you're going to get out of here is that you're going to get those 2 beam magnums that you can play with. Be careful that you're not throwing out parts with X's on them in the manual, otherwise you won't be able to attach that shield on. And the bonus of him riding the base jabber, especially with those big boosters and putting them to good use, he's actually more fun than I remember. Does the green bother you inside the shield? It doesn't for me. It seems to stick out even less than the pink, so lots of pluses here. However, at the end of the day, nobody buys it for this. They all buy it for that. So stay tuned to see this guy in destroy mode and then all the weapons put on, everybody. Robert184 gundam.tk, thanks for watching. Bye. Look, I know there were some ridiculous scenes in G Gundam with people riding rockets up to space, but sorry man, you take the cake. Forget about Foon's psyche. First grade Exia is riding a unicorn into battle.